Hate has existed for as long as humanity itself. It grows from fear, ignorance, pain, and misunderstanding. Hate spreads quickly because it feeds on emotion and reacts without thinking. But even though hate feels powerful, it is ultimately destructive. It destroys relationships, communities, and even the person who carries it. No matter how intense hate becomes, it has one fatal weakness: it cannot create anything good. It can only tear down. Love, on the other hand, is creative. Love builds what hate tries to destroy. Love heals what hate tries to wound. Love restores what hate tries to erase. This is why love is the only force strong enough to defeat hate, not by overpowering it with greater aggression, but by transforming it at its core. When you respond to hate with hate, you become part of the same cycle. One angry action leads to another. One act of revenge invites a stronger act of revenge. Soon, no one remembers who started the conflict. Everyone is simply reacting, and the cycle continues endlessly. Love is the only thing that can stop this chain reaction. Love does something extraordinary. It disarms hatred. It confuses hatred. It exposes hatred for what it truly is: fear in disguise. When someone expects anger and instead receives patience, something shifts. When someone anticipates revenge and instead experiences forgiveness, their walls begin to crack. Love forces people to look inward. This does not mean love is passive or weak. Real love takes courage. It takes strength to remain calm when insulted. It takes strength to show kindness when you are being mistreated. It takes strength to believe in someone's potential even when they are showing you their worst side. Weakness reacts. Strength responds. Love also protects your own soul. Hate weighs you down. It keeps you trapped in the past. It replays old wounds over and over again. Love frees you. Love allows you to move forward without carrying bitterness on your back. When you choose love, you are not excusing wrong behavior. You are choosing peace over poison. Think about the people who have changed the world in lasting ways. They were not remembered for how much hate they spread, but for how much love they showed. Their power did not come from weapons or threats. Their power came from moral courage and unshakable compassion. If we want a better world, we must become better people. And becoming better begins with choosing love, especially when it is hardest. Because hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Hate is contagious. It spreads from one person to another, from one heart to the next, growing stronger each time it is passed along. When someone hurts you and you respond with anger, you may feel justified. You may feel powerful for a moment, but in reality, you are only continuing the same destructive pattern that caused the pain in the first place. Darkness does not disappear when more darkness is added. A dark room does not become brighter by making it even darker. In the same way, a hateful world does not become peaceful through more hatred. Every angry word, every act of revenge, every moment of cruelty adds another layer of darkness. When people respond to hate with hate, conflicts grow instead of shrinking. Small misunderstandings turn into major divisions. Simple disagreements become lifelong grudges. Families break apart. Communities turn against each other. Nations go to war. All because people choose to react instead of rise above. Hate convinces you that the other person is your enemy. It blinds you to their humanity. It makes you forget that they, too, have fears, wounds, and struggles. Once you stop seeing someone as human, it becomes easy to justify cruelty. And once cruelty is justified, it spreads without limits. But you always have a choice. You can choose to pause instead of explode. You can choose to breathe instead of shout. You can choose to understand instead of attack. Responding with love does not mean you agree with wrong behavior. It means you refuse to become the same as the behavior you oppose. It means you keep your character intact even when others lose theirs. There is incredible power in refusing to mirror hatred. When you respond calmly to anger, you take control of the situation. When you answer insults with dignity, you show strength. When you refuse revenge, you break the chain. Darkness grows when people keep throwing more darkness into the world. Light grows when someone is brave enough to shine. You do not have to win every argument. You do not have to prove you are right. You do not have to get even. Sometimes the greatest victory is choosing peace. Because every time you respond to hate with hate, you make the night darker. But every time you respond with love, you light a candle. And one candle can change everything. Love is often misunderstood. Many people think love means staying silent, avoiding conflict, or accepting whatever happens. But real love is not passive. Real love does not ignore wrongdoing. Real love does not look away when people are suffering. True love has a backbone. Standing against injustice is not optional for anyone who believes in love. When you see cruelty, oppression, or unfair treatment, love demands that you speak up. Love calls you to protect the weak, defend the voiceless, and challenge systems that harm others. Silence in the face of injustice only allows it to grow stronger. However, there is a powerful difference between fighting injustice and becoming unjust yourself. It is easy to let anger turn into hatred. It is easy to let pain turn into cruelty. It is easy to start believing that the people causing harm deserve harm in return. But when you cross that line, you lose something important. You begin to resemble the very thing you are trying to defeat. True love says, I will resist evil, but I will not become evil. This kind of love requires discipline. It requires self-control. It requires moral courage. It means choosing words carefully. It means refusing to dehumanize others, even when they dehumanize you. It means remembering that every human being, no matter how broken, still has the capacity to change. Standing against injustice through love does not mean being soft. It means being strategic. It means using truth as your weapon, integrity as your shield, and compassion as your guide. Love-driven resistance focuses on solutions, not revenge. It seeks transformation, not destruction. It aims to heal society, not tear it further apart. When you confront injustice with hatred, you may silence an enemy for a moment, but you create 10 more. When you confront injustice with love, you plant seeds of change that can grow for generations. History shows that lasting progress comes from those who refused to surrender their humanity, even when treated inhumanely. They were beaten, mocked, and threatened, yet they continued to walk with dignity. Their strength came from knowing that justice built on hatred will always collapse, but justice built on love can stand forever. So stand up, speak out, march forward. But do it with clean hands and a pure heart, because true love does not run from injustice. True love rises to meet it, and true love wins. Real change does not begin with laws, weapons, or force. Real change begins inside the human heart. You can control behavior with fear, but you cannot change belief with fear. You can silence people with power, but you cannot convince them with intimidation. Transformation happens when hearts are touched, and nothing touches the heart like love. Love has the unique ability to reach places that arguments cannot reach. When someone feels respected, they become open. When someone feels understood, they begin to listen. When someone feels valued, they start to question their own assumptions. Love opens doors that anger slams shut. A single act of love can change a life. A kind word spoken at the right moment can pull someone back from the edge. A hand extended in compassion can restore hope to a broken soul. A simple moment of empathy can remind someone that they still matter. When hearts change, minds follow. People begin to see others not as enemies, but as fellow human beings. They begin to recognize that differences do not have to lead to division. They start to realize that cooperation creates more progress than conflict ever could. And when enough hearts and minds change, society begins to shift, communities become safer, conversations become more honest, opportunities become more equal, systems start to reflect fairness instead of favoritism. This is how real movements are born, not from hatred, but from shared humanity. Love also inspires imitation. When people witness genuine kindness, many feel inspired to show kindness themselves. Love spreads just like hate does, but with a completely different outcome. Instead of creating fear, it creates trust. Instead of building walls, it builds bridges. No matter how small your act of love may seem, it matters. Smiling at a stranger, listening without judging, forgiving when it hurts, standing up for someone who is being mistreated. These moments may look ordinary, but they carry extraordinary power. You may never see the full impact of your love. You may never know how deeply your actions affect others. But every seed of love you plant has the potential to grow into a tree that gives shade to many. You don't have to be famous to change the world. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be powerful. You just have to choose love, because love transforms individuals. Love transforms communities. Love transforms nations. And love transforms the world. Temporary solutions can silence conflict, but only love can solve it. You can force people to stop fighting, but you cannot force them to stop hating. You can create rules, build walls, and impose punishments, but none of these things can heal the human heart. Lasting change does not come from control. Lasting change comes from conversion of the soul, and love is the only power capable of doing that. Peace is not simply the absence of war. Peace is the presence of understanding. Peace is the presence of respect. Peace is the presence of compassion. A society without violence, but filled with bitterness, is not truly peaceful. Real peace exists when people learn how to live together with dignity, even in their differences. Choosing love is a daily decision. Some days it will feel natural. Other days it will feel impossible. You will be tested by unfair treatment. You will be challenged by betrayal. You will be tempted to harden your heart. But every time you choose love instead of resentment, you strengthen your character. Love changes how you see the world. Instead of seeing enemies, you begin to see wounded people. Instead of seeing obstacles, you begin to see opportunities for growth. Instead of seeing reasons to give up, you begin to see reasons to keep going. This inner shift creates outer change. Families become healthier. Relationships become stronger. Workplaces become more respectful. Communities become more united. One loving choice after another slowly builds a culture of peace. Lasting change is not loud. It does not always make headlines. It often happens quietly through consistent, unseen acts of kindness. A parent choosing patience. A teacher choosing encouragement. A stranger choosing generosity. These small choices shape the future more than dramatic moments ever will. Choosing love also leaves a legacy. Long after your words are forgotten, people will remember how you made them feel.